Pops on up at the very top. You have the option to leave meeting or say okay at the very top of your screen. I think it's on the top of your screen, depending on what
Upper
version of
right
the
if you're on a
software
Mac.
you're on. Okay, just make sure this is working. Yes, it is. Wonderful. All righty, let's go get this full screen. And we'll play. All righty. Well, welcome, everybody. Tonight, here's our agenda, volunteer, and we got tech Q&A. Al, as always, has his, I have to put his name after that because he always does such a great job. So, unfortunately, Pete is not going to make it tonight. He's got some new medication and it's got him pretty run down. So we're going to replay. So now this is what it looks like for tonight. But I'm going to fill in and I'm going to do notes. Now, I'm going to tell you why we're not doing AI tonight, because we did AI in June and the recording is up there. And I could have done that because I had that keynote ready. And luckily I had a keynote ready for notes that I just did out here at the Lincoln Hills Apple user group. But not knowing if Pete will be ready for Saturday's class or not, this will be a precursor to the full notes class, because notes is, as it says here, a powerhouse. And you'll see we're just going to go through tonight and just kind of tease it and show you the things you can do. And then the Saturday class will be a real hands-on, so everybody can get to use and really get to know notes. And then Pete, at some point, will come back and do AI. And if that's a month from now or 2 months from now, of course, AI will have changed dramatically. And that presentation I did 6 months ago, not even 6 months, it was about 8 months ago, I guess, in June. It's outdated at this point too. So just briefly about AI, and Al's going to bring it up in his thing while we're on the AI subject, or artificial intelligence. Apple has spent more money than any other company acquiring artificial intelligence companies, startups, and we know Siri is lacking. And within the next year, Apple will be a artificial intelligence powerhouse. And Apple's not always the first one to do something, but they usually do it the best. So so stay tuned for that. And that's I think it might even be more prescient, because if I don't know when we're going to have Pete back, but the thing is that there may be more information about Apple's foray into artificial intelligence. So in the meantime, tonight we're going to pop through. As always, make sure you have a time machine backup. I have somebody recently that it saved them, and it works very well. And this should be, I'm going to come back to this because I'm going to do my little public service announcements here. So coming up on April 8th, there'll be the last full solar eclipse, total solar eclipse in North America till 2044. And this is the zone that it goes in. It starts at Mazatlan in the lower left, and it goes up and exits up in Nova Scotia. So it's really a swath through kind of the right-hand side of the nation. But I've picked a spot here, and that's in Sacramento. You're going to see 34.36%, and the moon will come up to the sun like this. Now, last fall, we had what's called an annular eclipse, and that happens pretty much annually. But the difference with it was the moon is farther from the Earth, so it doesn't completely occlude the sun. That's why it's called an annular. It has a bit of a ring around it. Well, in this eclipse, the moon is closer to us, So since it's closer, the moon appears larger and covers the sun completely. And you'll get just the corona edge and the something pearls, they call them, that are around it. So this is it, April 8th. The partial eclipse will start at 10:16. The whole duration will be 2 hours and 2 minutes. So anyway, and I'll provide Al a link to that. Don't let me forget, Al. And this actually was because Pete was going to be here, and I was going to tell him this is Pete's house, and he was going to get 82%. Pete lives in Georgia, Buford, Georgia, and he'll get 82%. And then this is where his closest spot would be, and it is 7 hours away. But since Pete's not here, I'll just make sure he gets that info. Here's where I'm going to. I'm going to Ingram, Texas. And you can see it's in the 100% range. And it's a 25-hour drive. I'm splitting it up. I'm picking up old MacNexus member Ken Henry in Tucson, and we're driving there. And actually, I found this place that's rather unique, and we may watch it from there. And it's called Stonehenge 2. And it's actually a replica of Stonehenge that an artist made in this place. So I'm probably going to do it there, but you'll see that the duration of totality is 4 minutes and 27 seconds. So I'll have a lot of cameras pointed at that, and it's really I went to the one, well, it was like 4 or 5 years ago up in Idaho, and it was just so great. Anyway, that's what I'm doing, and this is my route from Tucson to Texas, and I'm in the far right. There is where we're going to watch it. I'm going to be staying right here in this little dot. It was really hard to find hotels, and those are my charging stations along the way. But then I'm actually on the way back. We're going down to, I've never been to Big Bend National Park, and then we're going along here, and we're going to do White Sands, New Mexico on our way back and make a trip out of it. So this is slides out of place. I apologize for that. Oh, wait, what the heck? Oh, here we go. All right. I was in Yosemite this time last week trying to get the firefall. These were photos from a previous trip, but the firefall is really neat. And the natural firefall probably ended yesterday or today because it gets blocked by the nose of El Capitan. But the original firefall started in, oh, it was back here. Hang on. The original firefall started in 1872 and went till 1968. And those were hot embers. They pushed over the edge of Glacier Point. And I'm sure we have enough people in our group here that saw that. As a kid, I loved it. We used to vacation for a week every summer in our travel trailer, and I didn't realize how spoiled I was. I thought all kids did that, and it was a great time. And Al enjoyed it. We went up, in 2019?
19.
We did the trip, and it was wonderful.
Outstanding.
So then a photographer named Galen Rowell heard about this through somebody in the park, and the setting sun reflects on this teeny little waterfall, and he discovered that in 1973. And it happens only between these dates because the sun tracks north and south. And these are some pictures of it. This was in 2019 when Al and I were there. So this is just a little interesting perspective. So whenever I have my big camera set up on my tripod, I also have my iPhone set up on my tripod. So when I took this photograph in 2017, I was zoomed in on the waterfall on the right because I had my big lens and I wanted to get all this. I wanted to get the waterfall. Well, what happened is, while that's happening, and these are taken virtually at the same time, over on the left, these clouds are going off and all this other stuff. And I couldn't zoom my lens out because my lens was too big. So luckily, that's an iPhone shot on the left. And I think it was a 6 Plus, if I'm not mistaken. So 6 Plus or a 10 anyway. But this is a photograph that one of my favorite photographers took, Michael Fry. And this shows you what happens. So you can see here the horsetail fall, it's called. And up top, there's a 40-acre snowfield. And so there's no reservoir. So if it's really cold, the waterfall won't flow because it's frozen. The snow isn't melting. If there's no snow there, the waterfall won't flow. But the rest of the time, you have to depend on, to the west, when the sun sets, there has to at least be a clearing. Well, when this picture was taken, it was taken exactly at the same time as this picture. You'll see this little cloud right here over El Capitan on the left. Well, that's this cloud right here. And we were really lucky because when we were setting up this whole thing happens for 10 to 12 minutes at sunset. And that's it. I mean, it's gone after that. And usually I was there for 4 sunsets last week, and it was only the last day that I got this. We had overcast and rain and snow, and so it just wasn't happening. So anyway, when this one happened, when I was setting up in 2017, I had to put an umbrella over my camera gear because it was snow flurries and it was totally socked in. And we were 5 minutes into when this was supposed to be happening, and it was not happening. And then all of a sudden, we got a little bit of orange at the bottom, and then it went away. The clouds were starting to break up a little bit. And then all of a sudden it filled in, and the thousands of photographers just were hooting and hollering. But the dynamics of this, if you see, and it's a little hard to see on the screen probably, but there's a dark band down here and then light band. Well, what happens is these mountains outside the park block the sun before February 15th because it's too far to the south. And then as the sun works its way through this opening in the valley, it comes up. And then what happens this time of the month in February, the nose of El Capitan starts blocking this because this is recessed a little bit, and it creates a shadow. And so it doesn't light up. Now, obviously in the fall, the sun's in the same position, but there's no waterfall in the fall. So it's really, really neat. And it's just an incredible experience. And I've done it 6 different times now. And luckily, I've at least caught it one time during the whole thing. So we'll go back to this slide because I have them out of order, because I didn't find out till a half hour ago, a little over a half hour ago, that Pete wasn't going to make it. So I apologize. So we're going to start out with volunteer. And somebody say something?
Did you say hello to my son-in-law?
Yeah, where, in Yosemite?
Yeah, he was there taking the same pictures.
I may have, but there were thousands of people. So did he get some good ones?
I haven't seen him yet, so I don't know.
Well, and besides that, it's not like there's ever a bad day in Yosemite. I have to say, the second day I woke up, the second day I woke up, and there was almost close to a foot of snow on the valley floor. And so I was up before sunrise, and I went up to Tunnel View, and I got some great shots, and the snow was in the trees, and it was just, oh my God, it was fantastic. And all day, and then it warmed up during the day, so the snow started to fall out of the trees. So I was really lucky I caught it when I did, and I have just some wonderful, wonderful shots. So anyway, volunteer and member announcements. Do we have anybody that wants to announce anything, that needs to sell anything or anything like that? You can raise your hand. And by the way, when we're doing the presentation tonight, you can always raise your hand or unmute yourself. Well, I'm going to pull away because we have the wonderful Al, who does such a killer job. Al, are you ready for us?
I think so. I hope so.
You can share your screen because Al has, man, it's so great. He does such a good job with this. And I have to point out too, he also always updates our Facebook group with news and events, news, rumors, things like that. So it's very, very, very good. So
Let me see here.
Go bring
Let me see.
Keynote over. You're perfect. You're in full screen. Looks great.
All right, great.
I like your picture with your KZAP shirt on it, man.
Yeah, you
That's
recognize that cat, huh?
that's OG
That
Sacramento.
is OG, man. That is. It's they were selling t-shirts out here in Carmichael at these concerts they have out here, and I'm glad that they're still around. They're broadcasting from a small little uh place, I think it's Sac State or something, and it's it's good to
Oh,
see.
cool.
It's a blast from the
So are
past.
these the concerts you guys have in the park?
Yeah, they Carmichael has these little events and stuff, and they
Dad,
oops,
I got to come over and get one of those shirts, man. That's perfect.
yeah.
All righty.
Well, of course, welcome to this month's Apple Tech News tidbits from around the internet. Uh,
And we should point out that Al does a great job with this, and you'll get the email blast. So the links to this information will be in there too.
Absolutely. Well, first up, the biggest news item this month has been the release of Apple Vision Pro to the general public. The Apple Store the pre-orders began on January 19th with deliveries on February 2nd. The base price of it, of course, everyone's probably heard, it's $34.99 for 256 gig version. It's pricey. It's pricey. And this is what you get in the box. You get the Apple Vision Pro, a dual loop band, protective cover, external Apple Vision Pro battery, and there's a light seal cushion, polishing cloth, and of course a USB-C charging cable cord with power adapter. I'm seeing a whole bunch now that it's out in the wild. I'm seeing a whole bunch of third-party folks with cases and stuff. I think Apple's carrying case for this is pricey. They want like a couple $100 for it. It's crazy. Apple customers wanting to buy an Apple Vision Pro have to sit through a sales pitch essentially that includes a 25-minute in-store demonstration on how to use the headset. Before the demo, a worker will scan the user's face with an app in a way that's similar to setting up our Face ID. The app will tell the employee the light seal, the foam cushion, and the band size to match the customer's head and face. There will also be a scan of the user's glasses, and these two shots here I took of what they have here at the Arden Way store. It's pretty straightforward. I took some of my glasses on over, and they took care of it. So so that they can get the right prescription for the demo, and they have them there. And once they gather the information, they give it to a worker in the back room to assemble a demo unit that's just for you. And yours truly here after they got all the appropriate scans and stuff of me, they brought the unit right here on this little presentation tray. Of course, the typical Apple, everything is in good taste, and it's very nice. Looks really good. The employee will explain how the customer interacts with the user interface, including using eye detection and gestures to select items, how to hold the headset, how to adjust the fit dial, and using the digital crown on it. If you have anyone has an Apple AirPods Max, you're familiar with this. There's a little crown there for a volume control and to turn it on and off. It's the same kind of deal. After
It's just like the crown on the Apple Watch.
yes, except bigger.
Right.
After a calibration period with tracking and tapping exercises, that's when the 20 to 25-minute demonstration will begin. During the demo, users will open the Photos app, which will lead into viewing spatial photos and spatial video. That's then followed by a demo showing how the Apple Vision Pro could be a Mac or an iPad replacement, including positioning multiple app windows in 3D space and web scrolling in Safari. It's pretty amazing. You just essentially, after they do the setup and they map your eyes, you just look at the icon representing the app you want to open, and then you pinch your fingers, you tap your fingers, and it launches it. It's that simple. It works pretty well. It's pretty impressive. Um,
And Al, did were in photos, were there some spatial photos for you?
Yeah, they had some spatial photos, some family scenes that were, they had an extra dimensionality to them, and certainly better than any kind of video that you normally would shoot. Uh, of course, now with the latest iPhone 15s, I think you can start to the ability to shoot spatial video is
Yes, that's where I was going.
yeah,
Yes.
is exist in the late model iPhone.
I think it's the 15 Pro.
Yeah, I think you're right. And for the on down the road when these things come down in price, and you'll have people shoot their video in the spatial mode. They'll have all this archival stuff that they can bring forward and view and on the Vision Pro.
And
Uh,
I think there's something like 600 apps for it already.
no, it's actually up to 1,000.
It's up to 1,000. Oh boy,
Yeah,
go
yeah.
man.
Uh, Also, with the as part of the demo, there's a selection of 3D and immersive movies that will be shown. As short video segments ranging from wild animal clips and a view of the ocean to some sports stuff that was pretty amazing. There's a brief segment in there. If you're a soccer fan, it's Major League Soccer, and someone's kicking it into the goal, and it's like you're parked on top of the net. They're going to be able to get these vantage points that don't really exist in the real world. It's crazy. It's wild. Um,
Wow.
the headset comes with a little dinosaur encounter app in which a delicate butterfly flutters in and lands on your finger. Then, as it leaves, the walls of your room open up to reveal a prehistoric landscape. And then this guy comes out. At this point, the realistic CGI raptor lumbers by and notices you, tracks you as you walk, and then steps out of the screen into the room. Kind of a one-trick pony, but it's nonetheless it's wild. It's the sense of realism there is it's exceptional. Since its release on February the 2nd, YouTube has been flooded with reviews, of course. I would recommend checking out something by Marquez Brownlee, Joanna Stern of the Wall Street Journal, or Mark Gurman from Bloomberg, to name a few that are noteworthy. Here, one of my favorite guys is Sunday morning tech correspondent David Pogues. I want to read you his final remarks in his pretty excellent review that I've posted in the chat. Quote, as it is, the 2024 Vision Pro is a prize for early adopters and Apple superfans, and maybe a fun purchase for the well-heeled curious who want to take their first steps into headset computing. With its current issues of price, weight, and comfort, the general public won't beat a path to the door of Vision Pro 1.0. But that doesn't mean that the Vision Pro is a flop. As an experiment to prove that goggle computing is what he calls it, can work, it's a home run. It establishes a simple, clear, precise system of manipulating virtual objects that doesn't require a plastic controller grip in each hand or location beacons on posts around your room. And the superiority of iScreens proves that people don't have to get seasick from using headsets. There will, of course, be another Vision Pro and another version after that and another one after that. Each version will chip away at the price and weight problems, and each will endear itself to a larger audience. At half the price and half the weight, the advantages of the Vision Pro concept will be too hard to ignore. Vast, bright screens, crisp screens for your movies and your software, no matter how cramped, dim, or grubby your space in the real world. Unquote. So it's a pretty good review. It's pretty in depth. It covers it all A to Z. So I would highly recommend that. 9 to 5 Mac has a pretty informative link here. If you're actually interested in booking a demo for yourself, it's pretty simple. If you're on the web, just head to the Apple retail website, click book a demo link just below the top of the page there. I've got it. I got some pointers and choose your store, date and time. FYI, I checked last night, and there are plenty of slots available easily within a day at the Arden Way site. Now, if you're on the Apple Store app, coming left to right here, from the bottom shop tab, tap your profile icon in the top right corner and choose reservations. Tap find a store and then choose a store. If you swipe down and then you choose reserve a shopping session. And then from there, Apple Vision Pro demo should be selected, and you'll tap continue and follow the prompts to confirm your store, your date, and your time. And there you have it. It doesn't cost you anything, but a small expenditure of time, and you'll be pretty impressed. Again, this is not anything at this price point that we're going to run out and go buy. But it's a glimpse of what we can anticipate here in the future. And I was pretty impressed. As far as Apple Vision Pro returns, Apple allows returns to be made within 14 days of purchase for just about any reason, assuming that you're returning the product complete, of course. February 16th was the 2-week deadline for the first day receipt of the headset. With the help of some sources inside Apple's retail chain at 24 mostly U.S. East Coast stores, so far there doesn't appear to be that much in the way of the returns. Who's returning the Apple Vision Pros, you say? Well, beyond folks who have some buyer's remorse about a $3,500 purchase, there are really two main groups that are returning the product. The first group are folks that have a biological incompatibility with the headset. For those returns, they usually happen within a day or so. They get sick, and they would probably get sick with just about any of these kinds of devices, whether it's Facebook's or Meta's Quest or any of the others. And they know pretty quick, and so they return it within a day or so. But the other major retail return segment of the tech using public appears to be media producers who are using the purchase as a free rental to produce their content. When asked when they were asked to who's returning the headset the most, the clear answer was the YouTubers.
Yeah, two things on that. The YouTubers, it was a big deal, but it also was clickbait, so it sounded like it was much worse than it was, and it only makes sense because they spent $3,500 on it and they're trying to capitalize on it. But use the ones that Al said, because those reviewers are really good. They're not just trying to do clickbait; they're really giving you good, honest information. The other thing is, the biological problem is everybody has said that this one is much better than any of the other ones out there. And part of that is because there's no latency. The latency means the delay for things. And the YouTubers were doing stupid things like driving their Tesla on autopilot, looking through this, because you can see the world around you, but you know what? You're looking through this thing, and if the battery dies or something like that, you're not going to see through the thing. And so it's really, it's all clickbait. These YouTubers are doing stuff just to get views. So
yeah, absolutely. This from Apple Insider. It's a week before the European Union's Digital Markets Act kicks in, and Apple's release candidate betas for iOS, iPadOS, and tvOS 17.4 respectively, and macOS Sonoma 14.4, incorporating the changes for the law are now available. I would expect the final releases are just around the corner, probably like next week. Apple likes to release stuff sometimes on Tuesdays, so 17.4 will be out soon, and we'll have some information when they have the final release as far as, new features and stuff. In a recent move to help secure our future privacy, Apple announced a new post-quantum cryptographic protocol for iMessage called PQ3. iMessage already supports end-to-end encryption, but existing cryptographic protocols that are commonly used by messaging apps rely on mathematical problems that could potentially be solved by future quantum computers. It's kind of nerdy, but it's really important that they're looking forward. This PQ3
Now
is,
remember, this is iMessage only, your blue texts,
yeah,
because a green text goes to an Android and it doesn't have the same level of security.
yeah. The PQ3 is designed to protect users against what's called, quote, harvest now, decrypt later, unquote, attacks, in which malicious actors collect large amounts of encrypted data now and store it in hopes that they will be able to decrypt it with a future quantum computer in the future. State actors. So it's important. I'm happy that Apple's looking forward in this regard. It would be just dreadful if it was way too easy, 10, 15 years on down the road, and nothing that anyone's ever communicated in any way that's private is available for consumption by state actors. So it's good that they're good on them. It's a little bit nerdy. If you'll check out that link, it'll give you everything, some pretty good background on it. Next up, Apple's released a sports score app that's geared towards simplicity and no ads. Basically, every sports app that I use is a kind of bloated nightmare. If you just want to check the scores, but these apps want you to do something else entirely, like they want you to go gamble or something of that nature. Whether using official league apps or something offered by a broadcaster like ESPN, it always takes a few taps to get what you want. And that's after waiting for it to download images and headlines for sports that I don't care about. This application launched last week in the US, UK, and Canada, and it shows you the scores from the leagues and teams that you've selected, and literally nothing else. There's no news articles, there aren't any videos, and there aren't any ads. It's literally just the scores. Currently, if you download it, you won't see anything like football, but I've read that as the different sports come online and that season of the year, they'll all be available there for you to follow your favorite teams. Up next, this is from Counterpoint Research. Apple's iPhone once again dominates the top 10 report of best-selling smartphones worldwide. But this is the time the 2023 figures are now showing it taken all the top 7 positions. According to Counterpoint Research, the combined market share of Apple and Samsung for 2023 was the highest ever. The market share of these two firms reached 20% for 2023, and it's up a point from 2022. For 2023, the iPhone 14 was the best-selling smartphone across the year, representing 19% of all iPhone sales. That's down markedly from the iPhone 13's 28% share in 2022. The iPhone 15 series came out in numbers 5, 6, and 7 for the whole of 2023, but Counterpoint says that the iPhone 15 models took the top 3 slots during Q4 of 2023. With
yes, because it didn't get introduced till September, middle of September.
And with the Christmas rush, it's not surprising. The iPhone 15 Pro was the top seller. And finally tonight, Mark Gurman of Bloomberg reports that Apple's finally canceled its effort to build an electric car. Apple's most senior executives finalized the decision in the last few weeks. The report says the project reached a make or break point inside Apple, with Tim Cook was also facing pressure from shareholders to make a decision. according to the story, there are over 2,000 people working on the Apple car, or as they called it, Project Titan. Was the size of their team. As part of this decision to shutter the project, some of the employees are being moved to Apple's AI team. So they're making good use of the talent. It's just I know that they've been going on for quite a while, and they were trying to find an existing automaker to build the cars for them, but all that fell through. And there was a moment in time, I think, when they wanted to do something different, and but that was a few years ago, and I think all the other automakers have kind of brought some of their best game forward and are producing EVs, and so the the cost of entry was probably more than they cared to proceed with. And so sometimes you have to make these business decisions. And for this, I have no doubt that they probably have learned a lot, and they, like they do with all their products, they leverage some of the things they use, winds up manifesting itself in some of their other products. So I don't think it's a waste.
Well, so most of that, a lot of that play, Apple does, as Elon Musk said, it's not building prototypes is easy and building cars is easy. It's building the machine that builds the car. And that's the big deal. And that's how come Tesla they're making money on the cars, because they have streamlined production so much, and they're making more money than any of the other car companies. But the thing is that Apple doesn't build anything. Apple designs the things, and it's always built by other people. And cars are very complex. And I believe that the quote with Tesla is they have 2,000 suppliers they have to deal with. And so it's a daunting task. But I really believe, and since day one, that the play on this was they were trying to develop the self-driving, the autonomous driving, and then they could license that, very similar to what Google's doing with Waymo. And it's a daunting task. And Steve Jobs many years ago said, and I'll butcher the quote, but it's basically, the hardest decisions they make are the ones that they say no to. And they have to say no to a lot of stuff. And what that does, though, is, you could be the five and dime store that carries everything, but if you want to go get a good pair of shoes, you go to a shoe store. I mean, he didn't say that, but I'm just trying to say it's kind of like that. And so, I'm sure it was 10 years. In fact, when I bought my first Tesla, I leased it because I thought that the Apple car was coming out. And I got my Tesla actually 9 years ago this month, or next month, or actually in about a week. Yeah, in a week. And I was anticipating the Apple car, and they've been working on it for 10 years. And, I think it's good, because it's not an easy market, and it's not something they're prone to. And they have other things they can do with their time and their resources. And to be honest, yeah, Apple has a ton of money, but it's really hard to get good engineers. And we see it where the difference between all the best engineers for Apple are working on iOS and the iPhone, and sometimes the Mac lags behind a little bit on that. So I think it's great, because most of these guys will go out, and a lot of self-driving is done in the AI or artificial intelligence environment. And Apple has spent so much money on that, and they're going to be a leader by this time next year. They'll probably be one of the dominant forces in artificial intelligence. And you can't speak highly enough how important the artificial intelligence is going to be in what's happening in the future. And it's growing by leaps and bounds. So I think it's a really smart move, and they spent billions of dollars on it. Thank goodness they were in a position where they could. So that's where that comes from. So
Although,
I think it's good. And as a shareholder, I agree.
ditto. All the links generated tonight and more will be distributed in a PDF by Bob White in his normal MacNexus email blast. I'll post it sooner on our Facebook page. Our Facebook page is a great forum for late-breaking curated Apple and tech news and support. We encourage everyone to come and check it out. And
I have to thank Al. I have to thank Al because, just that keynote that he put together, there's so much. I mean, I see it because I have to do my keynotes, and he did it. I mean, there's a lot of work in that. And Al, it's so valuable to me because you'll put out links for things that I'll talk about, and then I'll tell you again, huge clap and hands
all good.
to
All
Al, and he does this. He does it for the classes, and it's man, thank you.
It's all good.
So it increases our value. All righty. So any questions on that stuff, feel free. And then I'm going to go on, and we have a Purple Mac question, and then I'll be thinking about any tech Q&A questions you guys might have. So I will share my screen and go to the keynote.
Hey, Ken, there's a couple of questions in the chat. Somebody, Cheryl wanted to know how many members got the Vision Pros, and Dale Steele had another question.
So and actually regarding the Vision Pro, I'm always on the bleeding edge, and I was not on the bleeding edge of the Apple Watch. I didn't get the first generation. I got when it came out as the next one. And I love the Apple Watch, and it's great. I have a feeling that the Vision Pro, I don't see a use for me. I'm going to go give it a try once I'm a little more mobile. And but I really think this is one, because it's so expensive. I think you wait till the first revision or the 2.0 version, because it's wonderful technology and it's going to get better, but it's also likely to get smaller and more efficient. But it is hands down beyond any of the other ones out there by a mile. And Al, you've been on it.
Yeah.
You agree?
Yeah, it's amazing, and the Apple does a good job with it requires a certain understanding about its limitations and how to approach it and stuff. And I'm glad they had this little demo session there to so you can get acquainted with the environment and what the expectations are and what the limitations may be. And but I would encourage everyone, if you're out and about, you can go to the Ardway store, or the Roseville Apple store also is taking reservations. Won't cost you a dime, and well,
won't cost you a dime, but it may cost you $3,500. Yeah, so I guess that's maybe why I'm holding off. No, yeah,
by all means, go check it out, Ken.
And Al, what would you say? Were you there a half hour?
I was there a half hour, and I had a specific time to get there for an appointment, and I came early, and they were accommodating right there. And I had read a little bit about it, and so I had some kind of general understanding about it. And then they gave me some of the nuances, and that was not long after it first came out, and there's been a whole fire hose of
you were within the first week, I remember.
Yeah. There's and so lots of folks are using them, and if you check out the if you followed MacBreak Weekly or any of those kinds of podcasts, they had them all on. They were all checking it, and it was comical. But it has to be scrutinized, and there's a lot of it's not a perfect product, but I think for a 1.0 version, it's pretty cool. And it's only going to get better.
And anybody else, were there any other questions on that or anything else? Otherwise, I'm going to go with this. We used to have the purple Mac, so we have a purple Mac question. And this image that you can see on the screen is what popped up on his computer, and it's obviously an Apple computer. And so immediately you know that this isn't it. But what they're doing here is, this is a fake. Think of this like a pop-up ad is all it really is, but it can be a little bit more pervasive because it kind of takes over your browser. It hijacks your browser. Sometimes you can't just quit the browser or open a new window because it's got some hooks into it, because it wants you to not shut it down. It wants you to call this 877 number and all that. And because this is first totally fake, but secondly, these guys, I call them farmers. What they're trying to do is harvest your credit card. And they want you to call this number so you can give them your credit card number and pay $89 a year for coverage to keep these things from happening, when these things aren't anything that's bad. But they play on your fear, uncertainty, and doubt. Now, this one is a pretty lame one, because I don't know if you're aware, but when you're out on the internet, your browser, let's say it's Safari or Chrome or Firefox or Microsoft Edge, which is the Windows browser, and they do Firefox and Chrome also. But for websites to load correctly, your browser has information that it sends. So it says, oh, let's make this page render correctly. So the smart people would make this say, they would put an Apple logo up here, and it would say, your Safari, you've been compromised and all this. Because when this happens on an Apple, you know immediately that you're not on Windows. So you go, poo-poo, you can't fool me. But if it looks more legitimate, like an Apple logo, in fact, what's really funny is a lot of times they use like the 10-year-old Apple logo that was from the G4 iMacs and things like that. But anyway, this is always fake. Many times they'll have a voice message that pops up and says, you must do this, call this, blah, blah. And it'll also say something like, don't close this page, it'll really create problems. Well, here's what you do. You say, poo-poo, Ken said, no, it's fake. I know it's fake. Because first of all, on a Mac, you can't get infected with anything. And this wouldn't do it anyway. Safari blocks those kinds of things. And that's why you should use Safari and not Chrome. Firefox is good. It has some blocks too. And DuckDuckGo is good also. But don't use Chrome. It's a pig on your system. Only use Chrome if you're having issues on like an older computer. But that being said, you can't just close this window usually, because it has taken over and is, I don't want to say controlling your browser, but it's not letting you do certain things. So the first thing you do is try to quit it if you can. If you can't, you go up to the Apple logo and you come down and you go to force quit. And you can see the key combination there. And if you hit force quit, you'll get this little window. And in this case, and I'm not going to do it, but in this case, you would click Safari and say force quit, and another little window would pop up and it'll say, are you sure you want to force quit? And you say, yes, Ken told me to force quit. So you force quit it and you're fine then. Now, unfortunately, Safari likes to sometimes open the last window you were at. So if it happens, force quit again. And when you fire Safari back up, hold the Shift key down. In other words, when you click on Safari in the dock, it will do a light reset of Safari and bring you just your normal start page. So, and you could do that after you do the force quit the first time anyway. So you simply hold the Shift key while going to the dock and clicking on Safari. Okay? That's all you have to do. No message will come up or anything else, but that should get rid of this. Oh, and I should mention, when you force quit Safari, do yourself a favor, reboot your computer also. Do that first. So any questions on that? And I mean, it happens, and it's one of the main calls I get because a lot of people get, they're smart. They say, "Oh, I'm going to check with Ken to see if what this is," and they'll send me a picture of a screen like this or something. It's fake. Many times you can just quit Safari, open a new window, and close this window, but sometimes you have to force quit Safari. So don't believe it. Same thing with the emails that way. It's just like getting the phone calls, on the phone. Don't answer the phone anymore. If it's a real person, they'll put a voicemail in. And on the phone now, you can, in iOS 17, you can, if someone's leaving you a message, it will transcribe it on your phone for you, what they're saying. And then you could pick up the call if it's really somebody that you want to speak with. So any questions about this or any other notices like this, go ahead and raise your hand or go ahead and unmute yourself. Okay, good. We'll move on. So we already did this. Again, since it was such late notice, my slides were not in the right order on my deck, and I apologize. Okay. We're going to talk about notes, and we're going to then go to the virtual raffle after that. So notes is really a powerhouse, and it's getting better all the time. Now, I'm going to primarily do notes on the iPhone because everybody has an iPhone. Some people have iPads, and some people have Macs. But your phone is always with you and it's always connected to the internet, and it's got the best camera. So I'm going to show you from my phone how it works, but I'm going to go through a couple things here. Hang on. Yeah, I don't know why that note, I was supposed to duplicate that note slide to later. So here's what we're going to go through briefly. And I will reiterate that this coming Saturday, we're going to do a deep dive into notes because I'm just going to tease you with this because notes is so powerful. In the 50 minutes I have to present this, well, actually more like 40 minutes with questions and answers. So, and please, you can ask questions along the way too. But we're going to go in and let you guys do notes hands-on during Saturday's first Saturday class. But notes is wonderful for all these things, to-dos and follow-up items. I keep quotes in there a lot of times, like for my travel presentations, I'll seed quotes in there. So I just keep that in my notes things. You can keep recipes in there. Instructions, and I'll show you that when we go into notes. Medications, you're going and you got to remember what your medications are. And in fact, other things like that. With my medications, I have a copy of my Medicare card and my Part B and Part D cards all in there. And what I've done in notes also is I've made the actual numbers so I can copy and paste them from notes if I ever need to put them in somewhere. When I do my trips, I put my itinerary in there. I was recently in Japan, and the wonderful guide put together this 20-page itinerary for us on 8.5 by 11s. Well, rather than have to carry that with me and refer to it always, I scanned it, and we're going to show you how to scan it into notes, and it was right there whenever I needed it. Receipts, receipts and things like that. I used to take a picture of it, and then it would get lost in photos. So then you go back and you try find it. Well, I just put it in notes because I can see it really quick and get back to it if I need to. Like if I buy something for the ski club and I'm going to get reimbursed for it. I call it Netflix. I don't do Netflix Prime or any of that. I just have my Netflix one. And when people recommend a streaming show or a movie to me, I will put it in there. I used to always take a picture of my passport and my driver's license. Well, now I take a picture of it and put it in notes because it's more accessible. and it's right there. I do a packing list, and I use what's called a checklist, just like you see here. I have a permanent packing list. And what I do is when I'm getting ready to go on a trip, I'll do my permanent packing list and I just check the things off. And then right before I leave, I go, oh, I got 3 more things to do. I have to turn the thermostat down, and, I turn off the water at the washer and dryer or the washer and things like that. So, and like remember to stop mail, things like that. So the checklist works out. We'll show you how. That's really, really good. But you can also do a grocery list. Now, I will say that recently, and that says grocer list, so bad job there, Ken. Reminders now has a grocery list that if you make a grocery list in Reminders and you put carrots, and then you put hamburger meat, and then you put spaghetti sauce, and then you put celery, it will put the celery with the carrots because it'll group everything together, knowing what's vegetables and what's not. So it's really interesting. But I use my grocery list here, and of course my Costco lists I have here and other things. So those are checklists. You can use Siri with notes. Siri is aging not very well, but Siri will be improving dramatically. You can lock a specific note. And that is a great place you could store your passwords, because you can have a note with all your passwords and you can lock it. And remember, it shows up on your Mac, it shows up on your iPad, and they're locked on those also. You can also share a note. Like, for instance, my packing list. My friend Ken that I travel with, if he's bringing something, I'm bringing something, we can collaborate on a note, which means if he checks something off, it's on there. But what I did is for him, we don't do that. I shared my packing list note with him, and then it's permanently on his. He can do whatever he wants with it. And I'll show you how to do that. You can scan documents or scan photos, because many people now don't have printers that have scanners. Many people don't have computers to scan that. And you can also just plain scan the text. And the last thing is, you can take, like, for instance, if I'm building a trip itinerary or a hotel list or something like that, if I'm in Safari and I'm at a website, I can share that website to notes, and that way the link will be there, and that's really, really good. So these are, in fact, Al, if you take a picture of this, well, actually everybody could take a picture of this, but Al, if you take a picture, I would be willing to bet on your screen you could pull the text out for these. And I'll do this at the very end. I'll put this back up on the screen. When I was doing my research, these were some wonderful videos. The problem is, if I play these videos, there's a good likelihood that YouTube will take down our video because they're copyrighted. So that's what happens there. So anyway, I'm gonna do this live, but I want to show you how to scan a document because this really shows it well. So to scan a document, and Al is already putting links over in the chat, which will be available afterwards. So actually this is a little bit premature. What the heck here? Hang on. Let me see what's going on here. Yeah, I'm sorry, I skipped a couple. So first, to create a note, no, that's not it. All right. So in a note, so you go to notes, and the first thing you do is you hit the little icon to start a note. And then in the note, you can take a picture of it. I'm going to go through this live on the phone, which will make it much easier. And then the scan text. And that's really weird. I think 3 of my slides got deleted in the haste earlier today. So these are just fake passports and fake driver's licenses, just to let you know, and you can scan them right into there. Actually, I should mention that also California DMV has a new app that you can, it's not supposed to work for your license, but it does, and it's very secure, and it's called it's DMV, it's called DMV Wallet, and it's California DMV. So it's pretty cool. All right, we're going to pop through this. You know, this is just, these aren't my meds. This is just something where you could keep a list of medications in there. You can either take a picture of it or whatever. So I'm going to go now to Reflector, and I'm also going to fire up Notes on my computer. And I want to have, I'm going to reduce this a little bit, and I'm going to move this over. And I'm going to tell it to always be in front. Hang on 1 second. Always on top. Okay. Now I'm going to also highlight my cursor. There we go. So Notes is the icon we've seen here on this other stuff. Like for instance, I'm doing upcoming up here, I'm doing a mail presentation. So I've been adding notes to it, adding information to it. When I build my presentations, I do that over there. Then let's see here. So Notes is this little icon right here. And if I go back to all iCloud, you'll see my notes. Now, by default, it will do notes in chronological order. Okay. So as you create a note, it'll go to the top. You can pin a note, but that's a whole nother thing. But let me go here, and I'm going to go into the lower right. And I'm going to, oh, I got to bring this little thing up right here. So I'm done with that. Delete. And I need to get a piece of paper here. Great. So, all right. So I'm going to go down to the lower right here and click the little icon to create a new note. So now I have a new note. And the first line of the note will usually be bold. And whatever your first line is, will title the note. So if I just hit return, that's going to, oh, and I didn't want the, there we go, MacNexus. And I'll say notes. So you can see now it's in regular text. So I'll hit return. But you'll notice, we'll go across the top first, just briefly. This is undo. And I don't know if you're aware, but on your iPhone or your iPad, if you shake it, it will also ask you if you want to undo. This would be redo if I undo something. This is share, and this is the ellipse, and then this is done. I'm going to go over those later. Now, we're going to go with this bar right here. First thing is you can adjust the text if you want, but to me, don't spend time making this all fancy. It's not like you're going to print it. You could maybe make it bold if you want, but I think working with text is not really useful. You're trying to be lowest common denominator. Let it just do what it wants to do. The next one is a checklist. So let's go to that one. And I've said, I clicked it now. So I can say, let's see. Oops, I got to do it on my phone. All right. We're going and making a shopping list. Cheese. olives, wine, etc. And so this is making a checklist. Now, if I go and I'll just hit return, that'll be another thing. We'll say cherries. Boom. So I'm going to hit done on this note. And now when I'm in the note, if I want to say, oh, I've got cheese already. So I tap cheese and it gets a check mark and it goes to the bottom because you've gotten it already. So it works out very, very well on a checklist. And again, this is how you make a checklist. Now to get rid of this blank one, I just hit the backspace button and it's like that. Now I could delete cheese if I want, but I just like to keep those things on there unless I'm, because now if I go back and I'm going to go to Costco again and I need to pick it up, I deselect cheese and that means it's ready to get it again. Same thing with a permanent packing list. Okay. The next one is to make a table. And we'll get into that on the Saturday class. It's really just making a square and boxes and stuff. But I think that's not really a great function for it. But two of the most important things that are here is under the little camera. So if I tap the camera, you get this menu. So let's say I have a photo of someplace and I want to add it to the note. This means I'm going to use a photo or video that are currently in my library. Okay. I can scan a document, which I'm going to do for you in a second. It's going to be a little difficult here, but and then the other one is you could take a photo or video right now and it would get embedded in that text. And the last one is scan text. And I'm going to do that with something on the screen here. So I'm going to go and click scan a document. And I got to get my phone up and I got to get positioned here. And hopefully this will work. Okay. So I'm going to say scan a document and I'm hovering it over this document. And it detected the sides automatically. And look at that. It scanned the document. I didn't have to do anything. By backing the phone away, and you'll notice I've got it over my keyboard. This isn't an ideal situation. If I had it on a contrast type black background, it would have worked better. Actually, I wonder if, no, that won't work. I was going to put it up against my screen. So that did that document, and then that's part of, and I'm going to say done. So now it's in discard. I didn't add it. Let's do it one more time. I've got a little bit better background here. I'll try to do. Oh, this might work. Ah, okay. So I'm going to hit that. I'm going to scan a document. I'm going to turn the flash on, the light on. There it goes. Oh, I did it sideways. And I'm going to say save to. Now, the first one I'm going to discard. Let's see. All right. I'm going to do that again. Sorry. So hitting that, scan the document, turning the flash on. Okay. And I'll say save. There it is. So I actually did it on the floor under my desk. So that's why the flash went on. So that's a little bit better one. And you'll notice how well it detected the line or the perimeter of the document because it had a contrast background there. So this is great for scanning. But let's do one other thing. I have this message on my screen. And I'm going to show you how you can right over here. So I'm going to go down to the camera again. And I'm going to say scan text. And I'm holding it up to that. And now you'll see it gets yellow. You can see here where it gets yellow. And we'll give it a second again. And I'm going to say insert that. And there it is. The text that it saw, it did it. I can also do part of it if I want. But now this can all be copied and pasted. I can highlight it and copy and paste it and do whatever I want. We have a question from
Ken.
June. Go right ahead, June. Nope, June's got her hand up, and then I'll get you at the end there. I'll get you after Darian there, Rich. Go ahead, June.
I don't understand the difference between taking a picture and scan. It looks to me like you're taking a picture.
Yeah, if you take a picture, it would get all the other stuff that's around it, and it wouldn't make the border. It wouldn't. So when you scan a document on your printer, it just scans that piece of paper, right? If I take a picture of a piece of paper, and unless I get it perfectly, it's going to get everything else around it, and then I got to crop it. And also, it's usually angled a little bit and things like that. This automatically puts it into, and then from the scan, you can then email that.
Okay, thank you.
Does that make sense?
Yes.
Yeah, good deal. Okay, Darian and then Rich.
So, because I don't email from my phone, is there some other way I can get the scanned document from my phone to my computer?
Well, let's look at that, because when I hit done,
Sure, Errol.
right here, if you'll notice, hang on, I got to move the phone out of the way. Look at this. It's already on my computer in my notes.
Okay, so how do I get it from notes in my computer to somewhere else in my computer?
Like where?
Well, I'd like to put it in my file structure in the proper category I have of documents. And
so what you need to do is you would copy this and put it in a word processing document if you want, and it there, or from notes itself, I can share to mail. I can put it in a mail. I can put it in Freeform or open in Pages.
got it.
And you can do that. You can do that on your phone too. Why don't you do email on your phone?
I feel much more comfortable doing email on my laptop, where I can type and have a big screen and can create a zillion mailboxes where I put everything and I can see it all.
Okay, so it wasn't a security thing.
No.
Okay, well, yeah, and you can do all that on the phone. And to be honest, the iPad's probably easier, but to me, it's so useful to be able to check email more than anything. And then it goes to the computer and you can do that, but that's fine. Rich Preston, go ahead.
Yeah, I missed how you save a.
I hit done once I've done the
Oh, you hit done. Okay, got it.
Yeah, and then what happened is it didn't show up over here on my Mac until I hit done, because that kind of saves it to the cloud, and you have to make sure that you're on cloud syncing for it. So, all right, we're going to go back down here.
One more question.
Sure, go ahead.
So I've been having a few challenges with cloud syncing because I remember in a prior meeting, you explained that you can either have your phone or your computer be the reference point for what is synced. And so I would,
No. They all sync to the cloud and they never sync together. The only thing was the default needed to be set.
and where does one set the default?
Well, so like I'll go into the phone here, and if I go to settings and I go to click on the name iCloud, and then down here to iCloud, I go here and then I click show all. Oops, not backup. Show all. And right here, I want to make sure that notes is on for syncing on the cloud. Because the cloud is where everything is stored and everything goes to the cloud and then goes down to your other devices from the cloud on all of these things. So you want them all on the cloud, both there and then in notes on the Mac, I go into my settings and I make sure the default account is my iCloud.
And that's again, name, iCloud, somewhere under there, it'll be default.
Yeah, and in notes under settings, and then iCloud will show up, but if you go to notes and go to accounts, you'll see that you have to have an internet account, and then you have to have notes on the cloud.
And that, it was wondering about the default location, but there isn't a
Well,
default.
the default would be if you had, you probably, so the default always means that if you have alternate accounts that notes are in, like possibly a Gmail or an Exchange server, but they're probably not. That way you want the cloud to be where you create the new note on both devices, because that way when you create a note on the phone, it shows up on the computer and vice versa. And the same applies to contacts and calendars. It's a huge deal on those. So, and that stuff, if you're going to be in the Saturday class, we'll do a real hands-on on that. But if it's not syncing, that's it. But more than likely, because notes, contacts and calendars can get messed up kind of easy, but notes is almost always on cloud. So, and that's where you can see here is on the left of notes, I have all these. These are folders within cloud. If I had other accounts in here, they would be listed here. Sometimes you may have one, and this is really critical. It might say on my Mac. And if you have some notes that say on my Mac, it's an island. And you could have them on your phone that says on my phone. And that means they're stored there and not on the cloud. And any of those notes that are there, you need to move them over to the cloud one so they'll sync across your devices. And we'll go into detail in that in the Saturday class, because that's a little bit, I don't want to rush around that, because you just don't want to make a mistake on it.
Thank you.
So you're welcome. And Rich, did I do yours already? Oh, that's right. Yeah, we did. Okay, so down here on the bottom, this other one is called markup. So what I'm going to do first is I'm going to take and get a photo from my, oops. I'm going to just get one of my photos from, oh, let's see here. Okay, here's a Firefall photo. Actually, yeah, I'll get this photo, and I'm going to add that. So now I've got that in my notes. This little guy right here is called markup. And what markup does is it allows me to do different things. I can get this pointer, this little like felt tip pencil, and I can go, oops, I need a plus, add shape, and I'm gonna draw this circle. And let's see here. Oh, it's supposed to be down here. Ah, I did it on the wrong one. So my fault. I should be able to delete it. So I'll come down here and I'll tap on this. Now I do markup. Now I do this. Now I circled it, but I didn't make it big enough. So I need to, oh, come on. There it is. Oh, oh, it's really faint. It's got some opacity to, there's why. There we go. So I'm just circling it. I could write on it. I could do whatever I want. That's what markup is. And that's just the little, it looks like a little chisel point felt pin. And of course, this is what we started the note with. So if I was to hit that, we would have a new note. So just to reiterate, we went through and we started with just some text notes, and then we started with the checklist, and then we went to a scanned document. Then we scanned some text, and then we marked up a photo. And if we go over here to the Mac, you'll see everything is showing up there pretty much live. I've really ruined that photo, but that's okay. I did it for you. So let me go to, I want to go back to my notes. So hang on one sec here so I can keep a running total. Notes presentation. All right. So now I want this to come to the top. So I basically just eliminate a space. So what I want to do here is I'll do it on the Mac. I have shown you a checklist, and this is a checklist. So if I click that, I kind of did a packing list for you. Let's see. I can show you my packing list. So I have a packing list here, like my Beats Fit food and things like that. I can clear all of those. Oh,
Ken, how do you clear them all at once?
Yeah, that's what I'm looking for because they changed how they did it, I think. So hang on. Anybody help me?
Would it be under edit?
Yeah, I don't think so, though.
Oh, it's got a select all. Can you then?
Yeah, but that's the whole note because there's, well, that's, yeah, but that's just highlighting like that. So I'm going to go like this. Where was it? Help.
Huh. Well, it's always fun to watch you struggle to find this stuff, Ken.
Yeah, because I
feel
never
better.
use that because I'm like a caveman. I do it manually. But well, I'll find out and we'll do it on Saturday. So see, I'm teasing you guys. Format, mark as checked. then I'm going to go format, mark as unchecked.
Ah, there you go.
Okay, under format. So that's a checklist. So now I can go back to notes presentation because I've shown you a packing list. Now I'm going to tell you about instructions. And this thing it's really, really helpful. I have some things that I use when I travel called AirFly. And they're these great Bluetooth devices that you are able to use. Let me get this over here a little bit and I can get rid of that. There we go. So AirFly Pro, I have the entire user guide here and I can go through. Oh, that's interesting. It's not the whole user guide on this one. Yeah, there it is. So well, that's interesting because it works for me on the phone. Let me go back to the phone on it because that's where I use it. All iCloud, AirFly.
Yeah, that's a killer effect. I love it.
So this is directions. And occasionally I have to repair these things and stuff like that. So I've got my directions. I actually downloaded that from the internet, but you could scan the little thing. And this is how you get the AirFly to work. So I have on my list of instructions, I have some special instructions on my camera and things like that in there. So that's a great, great way to do it. Mary, go ahead.
Yes, can you add a PDF? Because a lot of times I download.
Absolutely.
Yeah, okay. Because that would be the
And while
way.
you're asking that, let me show you how to add. Well, that's coming up in the notes thing. So
I think you're looking at that, aren't you?
Huh?
That AirFly document there.
Yeah, it kind of was, but I want to show you because you can push and you can pull. And I'm going to show you how to do that. So I'll show you the trip itinerary in a second. But if I go to a PDF, so if I go into my computer here, and I will find a .pdf. All right, here was a PDF. Oh, actually, here's one. The Great Race is coming up. So in Great Race up here, I'm in preview now. And in preview, I can share, and look at this. I can share it right to notes. I can do it on my phone. I can do it on anything. And I can share this. And when I say share it to notes, I can create a new note or add it to my existing note. Like this one that we were doing earlier. Or no, it was called MacNexus. So now I've added this PDF to our MacNexus note. And there it is. And if I'm in Safari and I'm on a web page, oh, here was the Eclipse path page, which I actually want to copy this and give it to Al. I can go up in Safari and go to share, and I can go to notes, and we're going to put it in that same MacNexus note, but it's a link to the website. It's not really going to be a PDF. Okay, because this isn't a PDF. And Al, I'm going to paste that in the chat for you. Let me see. There's the chat. And that'll take to the Eclipse page. And then you can set your own location. So there's push and there's pull. You can paste, you can copy and paste into notes. Mary, you still have another question?
Well, I think you might be ready to answer it. I was just wondering if you could just drag a PDF into a note.
Absolutely. You can drag it into it, or you can copy and paste it from the file name. Same with anything else. And Notes is very, very, very capable.
Well, and just something to add on that is, I know Richard used to talk about keeping instructions in his password saver document so that if he was going to the store looking for a part, he would have it. This seems like it's a lot nicer because you don't have to go through the whole security of your password retrieval. So like,
Right.
yeah, it's just another very nice tool. So thanks.
And you can lock a note
Sure.
if you
Yeah,
feel
I'm getting there. I'm getting there. So so trips, itinerary, I told you about that. Here's one where I have, these are tickets for that Stonehenge thing. And so I've put them in there. And then this is a place that will have a Tesla charger, and I have to call them back because they're off for the winter and off till March 6th. So I have that in my Eclipse note. But these were the tickets I did online, and they're an e-ticket. And so I don't have to, again, take a picture of it or go find an email. They're all right there. So if I go back to the notes presentation, trips, we talked about receipts. That's easy. Netflix, it's just a matter of making a list of the shows that are coming up. And passport and driver's licenses, we showed you the photos of those. I also encourage you, because sometimes when you go to the doctor's office, you need your insurance information. You can do that. Quotes is simply just making a list. I have all of those quotes there. And remember, every note is searchable by the words that are in the note. And so it makes it super easy if you're going to go search for something and you know it was a quote from Wadsworth or something like that. Recipes. Recipes, you simply drag them and drop them in here. And what's really neat is you could take, if you're at a recipe site, you could copy the text and you could copy the pictures and put them in there in a recipe. And then you can make your own little additions and deletions to it. Now, a huge thing that is fairly recent in Notes is the ability to lock a note. Now, if you lock the note on your phone, it's also locked on your iPad, and it's also locked on your Mac. And the beauty of that is you can now keep your passwords there. And it's a very secure place to keep your passwords. So I'm going to show you on the phone how it works. I'm just going to create a new message. Actually, I'll take the one we've got here and I'll lock it. So I was doing MacNexus. Now on the phone, if I go up here to this little ellipsis up here, the 3 dots, and I tap that, now I've got to turn the phone away from my face. Well, no, I don't have to yet. But you'll notice that you also have the scan here like we did before. You can pin a note because your notes are always chronological on the left side. You can decide to have a note that you always want at the top. For instance, if it was you were in an itinerary, because if I go and edit another note, it's going to move to the top, but I can pin it and then it's going to be a top note, and you can pin multiple notes up there. But the big thing here is lock. So I'm going to hit lock. And now, oh, interesting.
Because it came
never seen that.
from a newer version.
Well, yeah. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to eliminate the PDF and see if that does it. Yes. So there was something about the PDF in the new version. I'm not going to mess with it. So now if I go over to my MacNexus here, well, it should be. So what happens is if I close notes on my phone, and I'm going to close it on the Mac. So now if I open notes on the phone and I'm turning my phone, you can see here, I'm turning it away from my face because my face will unlock the phone. I'm going to tap notes and it didn't lock. Hang on. Note is locked. Oh, I didn't quit. Okay. So now I'm turning this away from my face. Actually, I'm making sure my phone's locked. Well, I can unlock my phone. And then you see the MacNexus has a lock in front of it. If I tap it, it says view note. Now, if I tap view note, it tried to do my Face ID and it won't do it. But I can enter my phone passcode always. I'll do Face ID again, and boom, now my note's unlocked. So I recommend if it asks you to put a passcode in for notes, use the exact same passcode you use for your iPhone currently. Now, let's go to the Mac, and I'm going to fire up notes. And let me move this out of the way. And it says the note is locked. So I click enter password. Well, I can use my password for the Mac, or I have the fingerprint reader on the keyboard, and there it unlocked the note. So locking notes is very safe, very secure. And so when you shut it, any note that was unlocked gets locked when you shut the program. And when you come back to it, you have to unlock each note individually, and basically you have to assign a lock to every note. If you're on the computer to lock the note, you click here and you can say close all lock notes, or I'm going to remove the lock from this note now. But remember, it already used my fingerprint. So on the Mac, if you want to lock a note, you click there and you say lock note. And if you're on the phone, you have a little lock up there now, but the first thing is, see, it's gotten removed. So you go to the ellipsis and click lock. Lock is wonderful.
It's getting better. Here's a
Who's got an open mic there? We need
I'm sorry, that was me.
co-host. Oh, okay. So we're going to go back to notes presentation. So I showed you how to lock. Now we're going to talk about sharing a note. So if I go to the iPhone, the little box right up at the top, that's the share box. If I tap that, I have an option to send a copy of this by airdrop, by message, by mail to copy it, or I can say collaborate. And that's where you would share. Let's say you were planning a meeting with someone else and you guys had a list of things to do. You know, we got to get this, we got to get that, whatever. You guys could both be working on that, and it will sync back and forth to the people, just like a Pages document does. So that's the whole idea with collaboration. But generally speaking, you want to send a copy if you just want someone to have your, and again, this isn't just for checklists. This is for notes also, the entire note. Okay, so we did that. We already showed how to scan. We scanned text. We showed how from the other apps, from Preview and Safari, how we shared back to it. And I don't know why scan text is in there twice, so I'll eliminate that. And actually, I should have moved it up there. I'll Command Z it and deliver it here. There we go. And then you can use Siri to create a note. You can say, like I do it. And what's really weird is I have a note called Costco, so I know what to get over there. But if I just say Costco very quick, it doesn't get it. I have to enunciate the T, and I say add something to my Costco note. So let's try that. Let's see. Add mint flavored toothpaste to my Costco note. Yeah. So I don't know why it won't do it now. Like I said, Siri's broken. And then you can also make a simple list that is to-dos and follow-ups. You know, it's the good old, you can do that in reminders or you can do it in notes. And it's just simply a list of things. And notes is so powerful, and it accepts all kinds of different types of media, pictures, PDFs. It scans, and I mean the scan thing is great because it's so much easier to make that happen from your phone. Mary, go right ahead.
Yes, is there a limit on the amount that you can put in a note?
No.
Okay, good. And you can put documents in there as well, right?
Yes.
Okay.
But remember, you could also just, well, when you say a document, you mean like pages?
Yes. Yeah, pages are.
Good question. I think so.
I have actually my instructions for my camera in there. It is from
That's
a
a PDF though, right?
Right,
But
it's
that's
a
a PDF.
PDF. But
Yeah, we already did PDF, so the thing was pages.
I get that.
So I'm going to do a new document in pages here. And blah, 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 blah. And I'm going to say share. Oh, that's right. The share is weird in pages. So let me do this. Let me save this. Test. And then, yeah, then I can share it right to notes. So, and you'll notice that you can do collaborate or send copy.
It does everything.
But I don't know why you would really do pages unless it was an invitation or something that you wanted, which is probably better off as a PDF. A PDF will take up a little less space would be the thing. So let me delete this. All right. So I am open for any questions before we go to the virtual raffle. Let me put this piece of paper I pulled out back where it is with my hotel list from the Great Race. The Great Race this year is going from Kansas to Maine. It's going to be very good. So, and then Al, did you get these links or do you need me to put that one slide up again? I'm not hearing you, Al. This one? Were you able to get a photo and extract the text from that?
I got most of them, and I looked
You
them
know what
up.
I'm going to do? Hey, you know what I'm going to do? I have that in this document. Hang on, in here. I will do this.
I got about three-quarters of them. The top two.
Hang on. I'll just do it this way.
He advised that the top two are no longer available.
You're kidding.
Nope. Try and open.
Well, did it go to a guy's site though?
No.
Where you could get
No.
Oh gosh.
The YouTube video would come up. But let's see.
Okay, so I'll copy and paste these. And I'll just put them in chat and you can extract them.
Yeah, like I said, I think I probably have them already.
Well, if not, that's just easier.
Yeah, that's fine.
Okay, fantastic. All right. And again, the big deal here is everything went back over and it's on the, and where did my mouse go? My gosh. Let's see here. Are you guys still there?
Oh, yeah.
Because you froze.
You need an old guy's pointer like I use.
No. It's not my, it's something, I mean, I'm not getting, you guys aren't moving on my screen.
Oh, well,
And
your cursor is not moving, but then your highlight
because I'm on the other
blue
screen, but
circles.
I can't get out. Well, best part is we can still do this, the Siri thing. I'll do it on my phone. So Mary, without further ado, give me the two numbers, please.
Well, the number for the participants is 43, and
Okay.
and for the all thing, it is 256.
256. Fantastic. All right. So as we always do, we have a virtual drawing for Amazon gift cards and we will do 4. Still there?
Yes.
Great.
Cannot hear you, Ken.
I think he
You-
froze.
He's frozen.
Okay.
He's doing that just to make the rest of us feel better. Our problems. At least his face is not frozen into some totally bizarre expression.
Yeah.
This is Cheryl Souza. Can I ask why my icon is not up? So I wanted to raise my hand, but I can't even find myself to raise my hand.
It might be because
Can you guys hear me?
Yes.
Yes.
Cheryl's got a question.
Okay, everybody's still there. Hang on.
Yeah.
I'm not getting
Do you
sound.
see yourself now, Cheryl?
You don't have,
I'll turn my video off.
Cheryl, you don't have to see
Okay,
yourself
can you
to put
guys
your
hear
hand
me?
up. Yes.
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 All right, fantastic. I'm back on my phone for some reason because the computer finally went dark and I don't know what it is, but we'll finish this. I have the numbers. So I will try to get Siri to do this. We could maybe. So we do $425 iTunes. Geez, that was a long time ago. Amazon gift cards for members and attendees. And then we do, it's 2 100s and then 100 for the membership, right?
Right.
Okay. So then the next two are $100 gift cards for attendees also. And then the last drawing is a different set of numbers and it's for the entire membership. And that's $100 Amazon gift card. And those will be emailed to you. Now the numbers are different for the second one. If you win in the regular attendee one, if you win 2 prizes, you have to give 1 back. And then we redraw it, but you are still eligible for the general membership one. So I'm going to try activate Siri here, and I will do, and you may or may not hear it. We're going to do a random number between 1 and 43. And it won't work.
You didn't say Siri.
Well, I know I pushed the button to do Siri. So,
Oh, okay.
So bear with me a second. We'll do it from my iPad.
So going back to my question, why can't I see my icon like the gallery on the gallery?
We can see you. We can see you, Cheryl. You're on
But if I
page
wanted to raise
2.
my hand, I had no way of raising my hand.
You raise your hand is under reactions on the menu in Zoom.
Oh,
That digital hand, I see your hand go up right there when you did that.
Cheryl, you're on page 2 in the gallery, depending on how many people you have per page in your gallery.
okay.
Very good, yes. Okay, so, all right, here we go.
Ah, there. Thank
Got it.
you.
I left the envelope on my desk, so hang on. Now I've got the iPad, and 43 is the number. Okay. Give me a random number between 1 and 43. It says 29, but I'm going to try get it to speak, and I don't know why it's not. So hang on.
Do you want to use that number or not?
Yeah, we want to use that number because that's a draw, but I want to make sure that
That's
I get
Keith.
the volume. So yeah, go ahead and announce it, and I'm going to make sure I get my volume on here.
Yeah, that's Keith. Keith McMahon.
Thank you.
What did you learn?
You're welcome, Keith. Ah, there we go. Let's see. I'm going to do a test here. What time is it?
It's 8:59 p.m.
Great. So we've got one of them done. Thank you. Give me a random number between 1 and 43.
A random number between 1 and 43 is 27.
2 away.
And that's Karen Papa.
Congratulations, Karen.
Thank
Give
you.
me a random number between 1. Oops. Give me a random number between 1 and 43.
The answer is 37.
That's Pete McDonough, if I'm saying that right.
Yep. Congratulations, Pete. He won 2 times ago.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome, Pete. Wasn't it? Oh, it was 2 or 3 times ago you won. Congratulations. And one
Thank
more
you.
of the
God
$25
bless
gift
you.
card. Give me a random number between 1 and 43.
The answer is 30.
30.
30, that is. Well, I don't know if this is fair, Ken Spencer.
Ah,
I have not won in a long time.
All
No,
right.
Cool.
Overdue.
I'll see
Overdue.
if I can find that email address.
Yep.
All right. So now the 2 $100 gift cards. Give me a random number between 1 and 43.
It's 6.
6.
6 is, wait a minute. It is Bob. Oh no, Bob White.
All right, board members.
Oh, thank you.
Congratulations, Bob. You haven't won like in a long time.
Yeah.
No, I no, I
So
won
the
the
last of the
300.
100s right now.
I won the 300 3 months ago.
Give me a random number between 1 and 43.
It's 5.
5.
Wow. That is Bill Hammond.
Congratulations, Bill. All right. Now for the all member one. And if 5 came up again, it wouldn't be Bill's number because this is based on a whole nother list.
Correct.
So it's one, we have 256 active members.
Right.
Give me a random number between 1 and 256.
The answer is 121.
Kind of in the middle.
Yeah, let's see. Let me scroll down. 121, you said?
Yes.
Paula Smith.
Congratulations, Paula. I don't think you're online. Well, I'm sorry that worked out this way, but luckily we had other Apple devices to punt with, and yeah, that was tough. So I did Zoom on the phone, but then because I'm using the microphone, it wouldn't let me do Siri. So I used Siri on the iPad, and I don't know what's up with my computer. So anyway, I'll have to reboot it. And the funny thing is I didn't reboot it beforehand, and I usually do. So, all right, everybody still there? I can't tell.
Yep.
Yes.
Okay, good. So if there's any questions, go ahead and speak up. I can't see a participant list. Anybody got anything? And if not, have a great time.
We're not done with the raffle,
Yeah, we are,
Yeah, we are.
right?
oh, I thought, never mind.
Yeah.
Okay, I got a question.
Ken, this
Go
is Barbara
ahead.
Batto. I have a question.
Somebody
Would
popped in
your-
right before you. Barbara, hang on. There was
Oh,
a
I'm sorry.
gentleman that
Okay.
spoke in just before you, but then you'll be next.
Okay.
That was Curtis.
Hi, Curtis.
I have a question for, hey, has anybody used, T-Mobile and Verizon or advertising, that little wireless router as opposed to, so you can get connection to the internet and basically
Yes.
let you drop your cable and all that kind of crap. Does anybody use one, and are they a truly viable device?
Yes. So I
Okay.
can give you as an example mine, and then I had another. So I got the T-Mobile one, and my address didn't qualify when they said check availability, but a neighbor had gone and tried, a guy I know, actually a former long time ago MacNexus member. He said, "No, you just go down there and they'll give you one for your address because they're trying to apportion it out." But I was able to get it, and while my phone only gets 2 bars with T-Mobile where I live, I consistently get I consistently get between 150 and 300 download, and it's great. Ironically, though, today I was having some issues with it, so I just rebooted the modem, and it's been fine. And that's not what caused my problem with the computer. So I like that. I did install for a customer that lives over off of, oh gosh, that area right under Howe Avenue and University, I think it is.
Yeah.
And
Campus
they
Commons?
have the AT&T Air, and it seems to work pretty well. And the way these work is, and I had cable internet before, so I'm saving money on it. If you go with whoever your cell provider is, you might get a little bit of a discount. I'm paying $40 a month, and ironically, I also took it with me when I went to Yosemite because T-Mobile is a bit on the edge there, so it has a USB plug, and I was using that internet when I stayed in the hotel and also in my car while I was waiting for the firefall, and it was faster than what I was getting through my phone because it's a bigger box and it just plugs into the USB. But realistically, it's made for your home, and it comes from the 5G towers. Now, 5G is just 5th generation, and the speed can be quite good, but it's where it is in your house and where you're located compared to the towers. And most of them let you do a 15-day trial, and it's really simple to hook up. So my recommendation is, if you're going to try it, go get the trial one, bring it home, and then you want to try the strength by certain windows and places where it'll be optimum, but don't change anything over yet. Just use your phone to check the speed and things like that. And then if you decide to use that and drop cable or drop AT&T, what you do is you make the new router be the same name and password as your old router, and that way you don't have to change all your devices like your locks and your echoes and all that stuff. So and mine's been very, very, very good. The AT&T they got was quite good, and they were getting away from AT&T DSL, which is very slow. Cable is very robust and still very good. So I would think of it as, look at it more as a bit of a cost savings, but give it a try. But cable is always going to be your best connection for now. Oh, unless you have fiber. And AT&T has some fiber out there. And of course, there are some old Sure West people that are on CCI that had fiber. So does that answer it for you, Curtis?
Yeah. Are you getting unfortunately, AT&T installed all my equipment on one end of the house, not in the middle. And it really doesn't reach the other end, past the water heater and the furnace and all that kind of crap. So when you talked about putting it near a window, you just walked around the place, and because one guy, I think at Verizon, they actually have one that you can stick to your window.
Well, yeah,
It's
that'd
not
probably be
mobile.
the
You
antenna
actually,
for it and stuff. But it doesn't necessarily have to be. It's what you want to do is you think about a tower and line of sight. And what the thing is this with foil insulation on your house and things like that, because
yep.
there's two radio components to this is. The one is from the tower to your device, your gateway it's called, which is your router and your modem. And then it needs to distribute Wi-Fi through your house. But so in your case now you have AT&T and you're talking about you have AT&T DSL? You have a
Is that
wired AT&T?
yes?
Okay. So you could expand your coverage in the house but if it's DSL and not fiber, your speeds probably get hurt when it rains and everything else. DSL is not even officially considered broadband anymore because it's just not very
Okay.
fast.
Okay.
But I think
Okay.
that would be an improvement. And who's your cell phone carrier?
Verizon.
Okay. So I would check with them and see if they have a good deal on the home internet as an existing customer. Right. The two don't really go together, but the other thing is, how is your Verizon reception at your house?
It's fine.
Then that, I'd go with that on your first try and give it a whirl and see. And then you could put it kind of more centered in the house. But the other thing is you may have to supplement it with what's called mesh routers, which would help your current situation or the new situation to give you more coverage throughout the house. But so it'll be and the new, I assume your AT&T modem is kind of old.
It is. I don't upgrade as much as you guys do. So yes, it's old.
Well, no, and the reason I asked that is because Wi-Fi protocols have improved dramatically. So even if you were to stick the Verizon one where your current one is, you'd get better coverage in your house probably. But ideally, you want to try get it where it gets good reception from the 5G towers, but also where it spreads the Wi-Fi out in your house okay.
Yes.
And all of these have pretty good. And you want to have them at counter height or above, because if you think about your house, everything below counter is pots and pans, people's bodies, chairs, TVs, all that. So if you have it up a little bit above that, it doesn't have as much things blocking it.
Yeah. Okay. Give
all
it a
right.
try. Yep. Thank you.
Good question. Barbara.
Yes, I wanted to ask you, is it okay if I share your chart for Ingram, Texas with my friend who lives in Austin?
Oh, yeah. And you can
eclipse?
just use, oh, yeah.
It looked like it was
Austin,
right close.
Yeah. Well, so from Austin, they'll be able to go almost due west or slightly north to get there. Now, I particularly picked there because I'm coming in because traffic is going to be terrible going back to Austin, going back to San Antonio, and going to Dallas-Fort Worth. So when I leave the eclipse, I'm going west. And that's because I'm heading somewhere else. But I learned that when I was up in Idaho, because we got done with the eclipse in Idaho, and with Waze, I was able to go around traffic, and we were going to have dinner, and we crossed over the freeway way up in Idaho, and the freeway to Salt Lake City was stopped bumper to bumper all the way to Idaho.
Wow.
So we totally lucked out, and I learned my lesson. So I'm planning it this way. But yeah, that you should. Now, it's one of the links. I put it at the very end of the chat, and it's date and time. And what you do is you pull up that map and you locate your location, and it shows you right where it is. And for them, they're probably going to be 30 to 45 minutes, probably 30 minutes away from the line itself. And if you can, you want to get in where the line is. But even at their house, they're probably going to get close to 100%.
Okay, that's cool.
But that
really
also
cool.
does the times and everything else. And
yeah.
And the eclipse was so cool because you're sitting there, and when the sun goes dark, it's really weird because it gets cold all of a sudden. You would think the earth had all this heat kind of radiating. Man, it goes cold, and it's just it's weird. And the other thing is you look at your shadow, and right before it goes to full eclipse, the outline of your shadow is pencil perfect sharp edges because the light is only coming from one side of the sun. It's really weird. But yeah, it's very cool, and the animals react differently and stuff. So anyway, but it's going from Mazatlan up to Nova Scotia, and they won't be able to find a hotel, but they would be able to drive from their house pretty easily.
Yeah, she'll probably know about it, but I just want to make sure she does because she's older.
Yeah.
So yeah, it'll be fun.
And if you send me an email, I'll make sure you get that link so you can get it to them right away.
Okay.
Okay. Good enough. Anybody
thank you.
else? I guess I can end the meeting. Oops. Okay. All right. And that should, Al, have you saved your chat?
Yes, I'm good to go, bud.
Okay, good. I'm going to close this. I think it logged me in the right way because let's see here.
You sound good, Ken. You must be
Thank you.
feeling
I'm
a lot
still
better.
fatigue's tough, but I'm yeah, it is.
You sound much better.
Thank you. So Al, hang on a second. Unless this shuts the meeting down, you may have to quit the meeting. Okay.
Okay.
See you guys on Saturday.
Take care.
Bye. Good night.
You can be the last guy out, Al.
Okay, I will. Is everybody logged out?